The NBA MVP race may never be tighter than this season. There are genuinely at least 5 candidates of which you could make a strong case for the award, which is why the conversation around it has been so intriguing this year. And while this opinion may offend a lot of people for some reason, I'm not really sure why. I personally think of it as being true. Nikola Jokic should be the frontrunner again for the MVP this season. And if the season were to end today, I'd absolutely be giving him the award. In today's video, I'll be breaking down Jokic's case for his 3rd straight MVP, how his value on the Nuggets is at an all-time high, and why I'd personally pick him as the league's most valuable player over the likes of Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, and Jason Tatum. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like on the video as it really does go a long way in helping support the channel, and if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well to show your support. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about Nikola Jokic. There are 3 keys to winning an MVP in my opinion, and most prior MVP winners in NBA history have ticked off at least 2 of the boxes. Those 3 keys are winning, stats, and storyline. Stats aren't everything when it comes to the MVP race. Otherwise, Bradley Beal would have been in the conversation the last few seasons. But what Jokic is doing on a regular basis has to be contextualized through numbers, because it is simply insane, some of the stuff he is doing. Firstly, the basic metrics. Jokic is averaging 25.3 points per game, 10.8 rebounds, and 9.7 assists as of when recording this video, which is essentially a triple-double per game. And surprisingly, I personally haven't heard too much about this potentially historic feat, at least compared to when Russell Westbrook was doing it. Jokic's scoring and rebounding is ever so slightly down from last season when he won MVP, but now with his star teammates getting healthier with each game, such as Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, Jokic's assists are going up as the season progresses, and he's now currently averaging over 1.5 assists more per game than he averaged last season. Not only this, but he's averaging over 16 potential assists per game. Only he and Domantas Sabonis average more than 12 as centers. Of those legitimately in the MVP race, only Luka Doncic averages more potential assists with 16.4. Jokic's shooting this season is also historic. He's got a true shooting percentage of 68.7%, 3rd in the entire league. However, what makes it crazier is the fact that Jokic is shooting over 15 field goal attempts per game. The top 2 players in true shooting percentage, Nick Claxton and Rudy Gobert, don't shoot that many attempts combined. Only Durant and Larry Markkanen, who are both shooting 67% true shooting, can really compare to Jokic's level of efficiency, with them shooting 19 and 16 field goal attempts per game, respectively. The advanced numbers is where Jokic shines even brighter though, and really illustrates his near bulletproof case for the MVP. Think of any advanced impact metric there is, and Jokic is probably leading it. Win shares, Jokic's 7.8 clears Doncic's 2nd place of 7.3. Offensive box plus minus, Jokic is tied first with Doncic and Steph Curry at 8.5. Defensive box plus minus, Jokic leads that comfortably as well, with a positive 3.9 score. He's 2nd in the league in VORP as well, and 1st in Raptor. And finally, when looking at on-off numbers for Jokic, the Nuggets' offensive rating overall increases by over 22.5 when he's on the floor compared to when he's resting. That is a ridiculous difference that not even Doncic, Durant, or Tatum can even come close to. Jokic's importance to this Nuggets team is incredibly clear, and the stats evidently back that up. But a big argument against Jokic's former MVPs in the past couple seasons has been his lack of winning, both in the regular season and postseason. Because while fans of his can show off his great numbers, does it really matter if the Nuggets aren't true contenders? While we obviously can't speak on the postseason yet for Nikola and the Nuggets, we certainly can about their regular season, and so far, Jokic is putting that winning argument to bed this season. The Nuggets currently sit atop the Western Conference as of when making this video, with a record of 27-13. With the Western Conference being so competitive this season, holding that number 1 spot is going to be crucial come playoff time, and if the Nuggets can hold on to it off the back of Jokic's play, that's going to highlight his value even more. And going back to the absurdity of his stats before, if Jokic does manage to lead the Nuggets to a top 2 seed at least and average a triple-double, that will far exceed the Thunder's 6, 4, and 6 seeds they captured with Russ when he was averaging a triple-double. Obviously, the supporting casts are different, but it's still unbelievably impressive from the Joker. With members of the media voting, a strong narrative is always important for driving an MVP case, and luckily for Jokic, he might have one of the strongest in recent memory, becoming the first NBA player since Larry Bird potentially to win 3 consecutive MVPs. Add into the fact he could also be averaging a triple-double once the season is over, the nothing short of historic season would not feel right without some new history being made. People bring up voters fatigue, and I understand that, especially when the race for the MVP is as tight as it is this season. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if a voter who feels 50-50 about Jokic and Doncic for first place votes ends up giving the vote to Doncic just because he hasn't won before. But with that being said, I think Jokic is doing enough to block out the voter fatigue because he's arguably looking at his absolute best right now that he ever has. The numbers, the efficiency, and the winning to a level of which Denver hasn't experienced the last couple seasons demonstrates his clear value. It's not like he's playing at an all-NBA level right now. He's playing at a best player in the world level instead. His ability to make teammates better is potentially the best we'll ever see, and the film and stats prove it. Jokic leads the league in offensive rating this season. Of players who have played at least 25 games this season, 3 out of the top 5 play for Denver, those players being Aaron Gordon in 2nd, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in 3rd, and Jamal Murray in 5th. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Some of these guys are all-star level players, yes, but it is obvious they are so effective on offense because they play with Jokic. So, can you really question Jokic's case here? Look at these clips here of Jokic as well, and you'll see his ability to put teammates into great positions to score. I'd argue 99.9% of the league couldn't make a pass like you see here. Out of a double team, Jokic bounces a pass into the corner along the baseline for the open KCP who knocks it down. On this possession, that's probably the best look any Nugget could have received. And it's able to happen because of Jokic's gravity and playmaking ability that he's able to utilize with perfect timing. This one here is one of my favorites from this season because I just shake my head at it whenever I see it. Jokic fumbles the inside pass from Murray, which forces him away from the basket. AD follows Jokic out toward the perimeter, and as it looks like Jokic is going to pick up the ball, he whips a bounce pass into the cutting Green, who gets an and-one layup. Just scintillating stuff. And finally, one of his best passes of the season. Out of the perimeter, Jokic turns his back to the basket and begins backing down his defender. In the zone defense, every other OKC defender has their eyes on him. Jokic notices this lack of attention to his teammates and whips in a pass to Aaron Gordon under the ring, who gets the easy slam. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does actually point out Gordon's presence in the paint to his teammates, but at that point it's too late. Jokic is already releasing the pass, indicating how he is always one step ahead of the defense, making him such an incredibly dangerous playmaker and scorer, and overall, perhaps the best passing big man we will ever see. It's just beautiful basketball to watch. Jokic is defying all the doubters this season. He's putting up all-time numbers, his team is winning at a conference best level, and the value of his play is still incredibly obvious even with max contract teammates returning. It might be strange to see a guy who hasn't won a ring yet get another MVP trophy, but to me, it's hard to ignore the historic levels of impact he has. The film highlights it. You can see his impact so evidently when you watch Denver. he's making all his teammates around him so much better. When it comes to Jokic's impact, these stats back it up even more. Even if you want to take the stats with a grain of salt, you can't deny what Denver is doing this season is special, and what Jokic is accomplishing is remarkable. Love him or hate him, you've got to give Nikola Jokic his flowers, and in my case, I'd be giving him a third straight MVP trophy as well. But that's all I've got to say on Nikola Jokic today. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on him down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, a like on it would be greatly appreciated as well. Anyway, with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.